Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Whenever you're watching this, welcome. So I want to talk about saxophone today. It's just going to be the very beginning, basic start to saxophone. So we're going to learn how to put together the instrument. We're going to learn how to put our reed on our mouthpiece properly, and you're going to learn how to make your first sound. So we're going to start with the very beginning, which is with our case. Now our case, you don't necessarily want it in your lap, you want it on the floor in front of you. Why? Because it causes a lot of problems if it's in your lap. It's more likely to fall out of your lap and fall on the floor, which can cause so many problems. It's just better to keep it on the floor in front of you. That's why you can't see my case. So usually you want to look for the logo on the top of the case, and that's how you know it's this side up. You don't want to open it upside down or everything is just going to fall, which can also cause damage. So if you don't have a logo on your case, definitely check out the latches, and that'll usually tell you which way you need to open the case. So when we start to put our instrument together, when you open the case, you want to get your neck strap first, because that will help you with the beginning of your setup when you go and grab the body. Make sure your saxophone neck strap is comfortable. You don't want something that's going to make you uncomfortable when you play. So to start the actual setup of the saxophone, you want to grab the body, which is the largest part of the instrument, and make sure you don't grab any keys to where you can bend them. So the best place is to grab it by the bell. I know you guys can't see me doing it, but just grabbing it from the bell and gently resting it on your leg. So that way you can take your neck strap, just hook it on there, and it's not going anywhere. Just make sure you don't swing around your saxophone. That can cause a lot of issues. So usually when you have a saxophone, it has a little cap at the top. So we're going to unscrew this. Sometimes there's only one screw for some saxophones. I have two. And we're going to take this cap and we're just going to take it off gently. And now we don't need this to play, so we're going to put this back in our case. So after we got our cap off, we're going to grab our neck. Now there's many different types of necks. Usually the neck has the octave key on top. Mine happens to have it on the bottom, but you just want to make sure either way that you don't press hard on the octave key, because that can cause damage and also have a leak in the instrument, which can cause a lot of issues when playing lower notes. So when you put it on, you want to gently put it on there to where you're not bending the octave key, and just put it right on there, and then you tighten these screws. So now we're going to learn how to put our mouthpiece together so then we can put it on the saxophone. So we're going to grab our mouthpiece. Usually it has this little case. It's definitely recommended to have a case for your mouthpiece because the mouthpiece can easily chip. It's a hard rubber, so it can really easily get damaged. It's just best to have a case for your mouthpiece. So we're going to take that off, put that in our case. We don't need it to play. And then usually when you're setting up the saxophone, you usually have your reed soaking in your mouth while you're setting up your instrument. I just did not do it because I've been instructing you guys. So we're going to set our mouthpiece aside gently where it's safe. And we're just going to take the reed out of its case. Usually reeds come in plastic cases. If you have a reed case, that's great. Even better actually. But either way, you want to make sure you take the reed out gently to where you don't damage it, because the tip of the reed can easily chip. So how you soak the reed, super easy. You put it in your mouth. And I like to soak all parts of the reed to help with the sound that it gives. It helps the reed vibrate more, which is what causes the sound when you play the instrument. So when we grab our mouthpiece, you're going to take the ligature off to put the reed on. So for safety, for the reed, let's put our reed back in our mouth. So once your ligature is off, you want to take the flat end of the reed and line it up with the flat end of the mouthpiece. You just pop it on there and it fits perfectly. So you want to line it up to where the reed is level with the tip of the mouthpiece. So the tip of the reed with the tip of the mouthpiece. Just like that. I know it's hard to see, I apologize. So once you've got it lined up, I like to press down gently a little bit, and you can usually see where that the mouthpiece is versus the reed, and that will help you line it up as well. Don't damage the reed, just gently press down to where you can slightly see the black of the mouthpiece on the other side. So we're then going to take our ligature. Yours may be metal, yours may be leather like me, it just kind of depends. They pretty much all work the same way. The screws go on the right side. Always put the screws on the right side. It will not fit the other way around. It doesn't work the other way around. Screws always go on the right side. So when we put it on, you want to be careful to not chip the reed by accident. Just gently put it on there. Make sure the reed doesn't move. And you want to place the ligature just right under where you kind of see like a smile a little bit on the reed, where it's not shaved or thinned out any longer. That's where you want your ligature to be at, and you just tighten it. So then we put our mouthpiece right on the neck, and you don't want to push it all the way in because that will really mess with the pitch. You want it a good, oh, I apologize. You want it a good length out to where you still see a little bit of cork, but not so much cork. So you just like want about like maybe a third, fourth of an inch. So that's where I usually keep mine. It's just like that. And yeah, so that's how we set up the instrument. Now playing our first note with our embouchure, it's very similar to clarinet. I'll be honest with you, I'm a clarinet player, so that's kind of how I learned my embouchure. So, yeah, so it's very similar. You're gonna put our bottom lip over our top teeth, just like on clarinet, and don't want to go too far in. Remember that from my last lesson, don't go too far in. We want to see a little bit of pink, just like this. And then our top teeth, just like clarinet, goes on the top of the mouthpiece. Now, the only thing I think I'd say is a little bit different is I go about halfway down the mouthpiece. You don't want to go like all the way down here. You want to be about, you know, halfway down the mouthpiece or so. Just kind of depends on the person. And then I have my bottom lip actually a little bit further back, just a tad. It's pretty much for the most part like aligned, but it's just a tad back for me when I play with my bottom lip. So when you play your first note, usually you play a B, which is just finger 1. You want to make sure you're putting down the right key and you're not putting down this this key right here, because this is an altissimo fingering, which that's for another time. But you want to put down the correct pearl, and that will be your B. So it should sound something like this. If you got like a honking noise, it's probably because your embouchure was messed up in some sort of way, whether you took in way too much mouthpiece or it's just way too loose. Your corners kind of go in like a drawstring to the mouthpiece. So you don't want to be way too loose or you'll not get as great of a quality in sound. So that's basically it for the beginning of your time on saxophone. I hope this helps, and yeah, see you next time.